Age of Uncertainty podcast by Nigel Baker.
It's the Agile Christmas special. Turkeys voting for AI training. Merry Christmas and welcome to the latest episode of the Age of Uncertainty podcast. Now, my favourite part of Christmas these days is the big Christmas dinner. Yum! All the family together sharing lovely roast potatoes, vegetables, gravy, and of course, for most of us in the UK, a big juicy turkey. In fact, the only people not enjoying that meal are the turkeys. Now, could you imagine a world where turkeys voted for Christmas? Well, this Christmas, they are. We live in a world where your shopping is on demand, your movies are on demand, even your pizza is on demand. And now, so is your training. I was wandering the wastelands of agile social media recently when an email popped into my mailbox from scrum.org. You know, the privately owned Scrum training business. I saw they had launched an on-demand version of their PSPO training. You know, their homage to the more famous certified Scrum product owner training by the non-profit Scrum Alliance. So I thought I would stir the agile social media swamp a little bit, and I posted this AI image on LinkedIn. And let's just say some of the remaining professional Scrum trainers at scrum.org popped out of the woodwork. Some to claim that, in fact, this is a great idea, or they won't be affected by this product because they're so good, or it's not a replacement product, but it's an alternative to customers, or perhaps they've already pivoted away from this, and it's not really an issue for them. As Shakespeare wrote, "Me the lady doth protest too much." Surely this is a case of turkeys voting for Christmas? These trainers are endorsing their own demise. But, I hear you cry, as a fellow turkeyer, of course you would deny on-demand, pre-recorded AI-based training. It's stealing your livelihood. Well, it isn't stealing my livelihood yet. What is stealing my livelihood is shockingly bad agile, giving everyone a bad name, and then companies turning to even worse alternatives. So I'm not here to praise agile training. I'm not here to even bury it. What I am here today is to praise human-to-human collaboration and how training of all types can be a key vessel for that essential skill. The problem. Today, we're diving into the accelerating shift towards computerized, AI-generated pre-recorded training. Those modules your company proudly calls next-generation learning. But here's a question for you. What do we lose when training becomes just another on-demand commodity? And perhaps more importantly, why is in-person and even remote live training still dramatically better than this dead training trend? Let's have an explore. Why in-person training still matters. Okay, number one, real human energy and engagement. That's the first thing that matters to me in in-person training. Because in-person training has something profoundly festive about it. You know, people gathering, sharing ideas, passing around the mince pies. Well, maybe not the mince pies, but in-person training has one magical ingredient that AI can't fake. The energy of a room full of humans who are actually present. You know, people laugh together, they challenge ideas, they see each other nodding or smiling or grimacing, and they adjust. You simply can't replicate the collective spark in a pre-recorded module. Now, number two, spontaneous learning moments. Every great training session has those improvised moments where someone asks, wait, how would this work with my team? And suddenly the entire room goes there. We discuss real things and their real situation. Now, of course, that may be common or it may never happened before. How could a video know without your context? Just AI models can't respond to that. At best, they offer is confidence and a summation of whatever ideas they have scraped off the internet. Number three, hard conversations need a safe space. Topics like leadership, culture, teamwork, conflict, these require trust. real trust, not a trust simulated by a smiling stock video of a diverse team high-fiving. A skilled trainer reads the room, senses hesitations, and guides people through it. The video just keeps rolling and rolling and rolling. Number 4, accountability through physical presence. Now let's be honest here. When you are in a room with the facilitator and peers, you try, you participate, you ask questions. I remember attending a workshop with a fellow certified Scrum trainer and great guy who passed away not too long ago, Bob Sarney. Love you, Bob. As part of our process to be allowed to teach certain courses, we must attend at least one session run by another trainer to see how they do it and take some learning from it for our own course development. You see, in the Scrum Alliance, we develop our own material from our shared learning objectives. We don't run all the same slideware, we don't tell you all the same anecdotes and run all the same exercises. I had hoped, having done this for years, I could perhaps sit at the back with my camera off and just observe, but Bob was having none of it. I had to take part as an actual attendee. Oh, and do you know what? Even with my literal decades of experience and knowledge, I learnt loads from Bob and especially from my fellow attendees. Whereas with an AI module, you're potentially 15 seconds away from opening another tab and buying new garden furniture. You know, maybe a teak with 6 chairs, a table, a parasol, maybe a small turntable in the middle. Guess what? We learn better when someone might actually look at us. There's even been some psychological research on this. I think some people may call it the Hawthorne effect. People do better when they're seen by each other. Why remote live training still beats pre-recorded AI training? Now you might say, but Nigel, not everyone can get to a training room. Remote is the future. And you know what? You're probably right. Since COVID, I have done less than a dozen in-person training courses because remote live training absolutely works. But here's why it's still fundamentally different from those pre-packaged AI lessons. Number 1, you get real-time interaction. In remote training, you can ask questions now, not at the end of Module 12 when your brain has melted, and definitely not to a chat box. Real-time feedback and a real-time person equals real-time learning. Number 2, adaptive teaching. A real trainer can change pace. They can skip irrelevant sections, jump forward in topics, jump back in topics, or dive deep into what the group actually needs. And the pre-recorded stuff just can't do that. And how will the new age AI models adapt? From my experience of all product development ever, they'll probably react in a way that's not conducive to your best needs. Maybe they'll add some commercials in or something. I can't count the amount of times I have been running a CSPO workshop and a spontaneous certified Scrum Master course broke out. You know, it happens all the time. Now, number 3, a shared experience creates a connection. Even on Zoom, people learn from each other. You know, breakout rooms, discussions, shared frustrations, these create community, which is far more valuable than clicking true or false, is collaboration important? And humanity survives the lag of your Wi-Fi. A human trainer can laugh off a frozen webcam, improvise when the tech breaks, or read someone's tone. Can recorded modules? Or will they just be caught buffering? What pre-recorded and AI-led training gets wrong. AI-based modules at the moment are like those cheap novelty Christmas gifts you get from an in-law. They look exciting, they look fun for about 3 minutes. Then you realise they don't actually do anything useful. The novelty factor wears off and they end up in a charity shop before the new year. Now let's be fair. AI and pre-recorded training has its place. Compliance, basics, repetitive instruction. We've all had to sit through the agony that is fire awareness and that old chair, monitor, RSI alignment thingy. But the moment we ask it to teach something really human, that's when things start falling apart because it has no contextual awareness. All modules deliver generic answers to your specific problems. Your organization's culture, its constraints, team dynamics are just invisible to it. You know, context is kind of the organization's learning oxygen. And sometimes, by the way, learning's excuse to get out of jail. A good trainer knows when the context applies and when it's just a band-aid excuse. There's also zero emotional intelligence. Learning often means confronting assumptions, admitting mistakes, or trying new behaviours, and that requires emotional nuance, delicacy, tact. Now, however tactless I may be, AI modules offer none. And of course, there's a lack of challenge and debate. A great trainer challenges you, pushes back a little bit, makes you think. There is a huge amount of coaching in training, bizarrely, and these tools cannot make that leap well. AI modules at the moment politely accept everything you say like a timid mouse. Look at the moment. How many times has your LLM lied to you and then apologise profusely after you challenged it? And it turns learning into a checkbox activity. Pre-recorded training encourages people to focus on completion and not transformation. People ask, oh, how do I finish this thing? Not, what do I learn from this? How do I grow from this? I remember in the 90s, we used to button mash these things to try and bludgeon our way to the end. And that is my big fear for this today. Too much training in general is kind of sheep dip style, compulsory imposition, and not genuine opportunities for growth. These on-demand offerings kind of solidify those big errors organizations make and even validates them. A healthy middle way. The point isn't that AI has no role. It's going to be at the heart of much of how work works in the next 50 years. The point is that over-automated learning strips away the human elements that make learning work. And most of the Agile philosophy is about human-centric methods and principles to build better products and a better world. There will always be people involved in complex work, whether you like Agile or you hate it. And as we know, two's company, 3 is politics. So people need more than ever human skills to help them collaborate, communicate, and create. I have a friend of over 20 years, and he's a fellow CST, Paul Goddard, who is working on something in this space at the moment. But it'll take more than Paul. It'll take all of us to understand improving the world of work. It's not about technology, but about people. And we need to drink our own champagne a little bit on that topic. And not just say, oh, here is your pre-recorded module on how to collaborate with other humans. So the future isn't AI instead of humans. It's AI supporting human-led, real, adaptive experiences, whether in person or remote. If training is meant to change behavior, build teams, grow leaders, shift mindsets, then it must involve people. Messy, unpredictable, argumentative, but wonderful people. And that's why I think taking something as gloriously messy and context sensitive as product management and turning it into a cookie cutter pre-record and test just shows that some people perhaps can smell where the market's going. You know, this is going to be very popular to sell, but they're not looking to lead the market in the right direction for the people who need the tools and concepts. Remember, good products aren't just things that sell, they're things that sell that people really need. And look, we understand most of your Agile heroes are well past retirement date and looking to wind down. Offers like this give them a well-earned pension, so we can't be dismissive of it. But for the rest of us in the workforce, we need to build a better future together quickly. For as Benjamin Franklin said, we had all better hang together, or surely we will all hang separately. Will the Scrum Alliance follow suit with this? Copy the PSPO model? I hope not. I hope a community organisation like the Scrum Alliance, as the biggest and only independent of corporate shareholder organisation left, I hope they would set the right example and show us some thought leadership in this. Not to save the proverbial turkeys, like those professional Scrum trainers for themselves, and not to save the squawking Remainers like me, but building a better world through a fusion of technology, methods, and most importantly, people and their relationships with each other. And doesn't that feel a bit like Christmas? You know, Christmas isn't all about the tinsel, tree, or even the turkey. It's symbolising hope, renewal, goodwill, peace and love. And the contrast between that materialism and the eternal spiritual value of this. In this ever-darkening world, do not lose sight of your principles. Perhaps try to be the light in your organisational darkness. So, as we end the year and you're unwrapping gifts, eating far too much chocolate and pretending you're watching the King's Speech, remember this. Learning is a human gift. It's meant to be shared, discussed, explored together, and not delivered like a digital stocking filler wrapped by a robot. So next time someone proudly tells you they've automated all their training with cutting-edge AI, ask them, yeah, okay, you've automated the training, fantastic. And what have you automated away? Because it might just be they've not removed the people, they've removed the learning. Yeah. Thank you for joining me in the Age of Uncertainty podcast today. If you've enjoyed this conversation, please hit subscribe and leave a comment and perhaps tell me about your best terrible e-learning horror story. Oh, and one more thing. A Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you all. Cheers, everyone. Bye. See you next time.